Digital Marketing Radio, episode 98, Instagram and Pinterest marketing.
DigitalMarketingRadio.com.
I'm David Bain, and this is Digital Marketing Radio, weekly interviews with digital marketing experts. Find out about everything we do at DigitalMarketingRadio.com.
The big interview with David Bain.
Today I'm joined by Kevin Pereira. Kevin, welcome to DMR.
Hi, David. Thanks for having me.
Well, thank you very much for joining me. You're coming in loud and clear there. So,
Awesome.
you started off as a small business owner with InstaMaids, and you sold up there, and you joined Wet Shave Club, and you're co-founder and CMO there, and
Yep.
You've repositioned the business really as an e-commerce store with thousands of members now. So you can find you over at Wet Shave Club, of course. So, but well, why did you decide to refocus the marketing of the business on image-based social media?
Well, we found really quickly that was what was working. So we tried a lot of different marketing avenues, but we found particularly Instagram and Facebook had, it was just the best for us. And particularly with really good images that we were posting, got really good engagement. So we kind of started just honing in and focusing on that.
So when you say it was the best, does that mean that you were trying lots of different things, and you were trying lots of Facebook, lots of Twitter, lots of other activities, but you just found that it was Instagram and Pinterest that were really working for you?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay. Wow.
It wasn't so much Pinterest in the beginning. It was working for us. But right now it's really Instagram and Facebook that definitely is the best use of our time and resources.
And is there any one best one among Instagram and Pinterest? Or are they both roughly the same?
I would say Instagram right now is by far the best. It's really easy to have a lot of people know and find out about your brand, and to also have their friends refer them to your brand.
Okay, and Instagram doesn't really give you the opportunity to include links within the image back to your site. That's right, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right, and that's one of the most difficult parts. So the only way you can get people to actually, click back to your site is with the bio link on your profile page, but not a lot of people click on that. So we pretty much just write out the URL and try to have a really good offer for people to actually manually copy paste or type in the URL on their browser. Okay,
and that's a unique URL just for your Instagram users?
No, we have just a URL just to our website, because we try to keep it really simple.
So how do you really measure that it's definitely an Instagram user that's come back to your site?
So one of the ways we can tell is we can see when we post contests or discount codes on Instagram, we can actually see those people use the discount codes. So that's one way we can actually measure that people came from Instagram.
Okay, so and you've obviously been posting lots of different pictures as well as offers. So do you try and mix it up a little bit? Do you actually post mostly just engaging photographs and just an offer just every so often?
Yeah, so it's the ratio is pretty much 80-20, where 80% is just content just for engagement, pretty much, and then we'll have offers and contests, just a few times a week.
You sound like you've been reading Gary Vaynerchuk's jab, 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 right hook.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of truth in that. So, and it really works for us. So if all you try to do is sell, nobody's going to pay attention to you.
Absolutely. Yeah. So how many Instagram followers have you got at the moment?
Right now we have like 11,700, and it's growing about 50 to 100 every day.
Wow, that's really impressive. And is that a business that's largely focused on the States, or do you have an international side of things as well?
We have an international side. It's probably about 10 to 15% of our members are international, and the rest are in the US.
Okay, and so what do you do to actually get people to engage with you online? What kind of pictures would you say are most effective when it comes to that?
So our demographic right now currently is predominantly male, and on Instagram it's going to be between 20, 30, which is slightly lower than our actual demographic, but we try to post cool things that are related with the outdoors, camping, shaving, um, you know, manly foods like steaks and breakfast like bacon and stuff. And that gets a lot of engagement. So we kind of just figure out what works and then go from there.
Manly foods.
Yeah.
So does it attract women as well, or is it just men that are your audience?
Right now it's pretty much just men, but we do have a women's version of the shaving box, monthly shaving box that's coming out this month. So we're going to have to tweak our marketing a little bit to kind of include women.
And do you participate in paid social media advertising as well? Or is it just organic reach that you're going for?
We used to pay on Facebook, and that's how we first got our first, I would say, 500-600 members, was through Facebook ads, and that worked really well. But right now we're not doing any paid advertising. We kind of have enough growth just organically.
Okay, and so you're not even doing any retargeting at all?
No, we were doing some retargeting, but we ended up just not doing it because our growth was so much that, and because we're self-funded, we had to pay, more and more for inventory. So our inventory costs were going up because our growth was increasing. So right now we're kind of enjoying just growing slowly. Nobody thinks that growing slowly is a good thing, but it actually keeps things nice and stable. Yeah,
it is when you have to fund everything and you have to pay things before you might sell them as well.
Yeah. Specifically with this business, because we're mostly curating products, the more members we have, the further out we have to order products. And so the more and more members we have, we have to order 2 months ahead or 3 months ahead. And so, growing quickly like that, when you're self-funded is not that great of a thing.
Wow. Okay. And what about future plans? Do you reckon you're going to be getting back into paid media again, or are you quite happily growing at the state you are just now?
I think we might try to do that, but as far as marketing goes, our best returns have been just connecting with influencers and bloggers. I mean, within our particular niche. Oh, sorry about that.
Is it okay?
And yeah, that's what we found to be best, is just connecting with influencers, bloggers. Typically, what we'll do is we'll send them a free box, and then they'll write a review, and they'll have a link on their site to our site. And what we saw from that was our SEO jumped up pretty big. So we went from not even being on Google to right now we're #2 for Shave Club.
Wow.
So yeah, that helped us a lot.
And do you use any third-party tools to actually try and identify which bloggers you should be targeting?
No, we don't use a third-party tool right now. We basically have a large spreadsheet with everybody who is the who's who. So we kind of started with our particular niche of like wet shaving, and then we had all of those bloggers, and then we just kind of went from there. It really is more of a how many. We'll say, okay, this month we're going to send out 50 boxes to bloggers, and then we'll go through the list of people who we haven't sent boxes to, and then we'll try and contact them, reach out to them, and then get those reviews. So we're pretty much just using our own spreadsheet and seeing where our demographic, what blogs they're looking at, really.
And I assume that it's not, if you're reaching out to that number of bloggers, then it's obviously not just bloggers who talk about shaving. Do you just target any male, maybe 30-odd-year-old blogger, or do you narrow it down further than that?
It depends. Sometimes when we have extra boxes, it could just be anybody with a couple of people reading their blog. So it really depends. There's really no science to it. We've gotten many members from really small blogs, and large blogs really nothing has really come from that. So I would say we haven't sent out enough to have enough data, but it seems to be pretty mixed.
So do you get a blogger's commitment to write something before you actually send the box out?
Yes, I mean, it's pretty much like a verbal commitment. You know, usually they'll say something like, you know, if I like the box, I'll put a review, and, you know, 80–90% of the time they always do that.
Okay, that's pretty good. And you don't send them any content at all. Everything that they write is obviously just what they write themselves.
Yep, exactly.
Okay, that's pretty impressive outreach. That you've got many marketing activities going on that are natural. Is there any cap to that just now? Do you feel that you're going to reach a point where you've just about reached to every single blogger that will write about it?
Yes, but even when you get to that point, you can still have them re-review. You can look at your best performing blogs and then ask them to re-review. So you can send them a new box, because every month for us it's different. So, and then, you know, we'll be on their latest blog, so it helps a lot too.
Very impressive, very impressive. Okay, so are there any other digital marketing activities that you're actually participating in at the moment that are working really effectively? I mean, what about actually when you attract customers for the first time? Do you have a great email autoresponder funnel that actually makes them aware of your products and converts people as well as possible?
We don't right now, and that's something we want to work on. Something that we are focused on right now is a Facebook group for our members.
Right.
And so right now there's only about, you know, 250 or so members in there, but we just launched it about a week ago, and we're hoping that that's going to help our retention rates and keep people on as members for longer periods of time, because if they feel like they're involved in a community, which they are. And so on there's just, you know, really awesome posts, and there's a lot of great conversation happening in that community, and we're hoping that that's going to help with customer feedback, and then also, you know, again, like I said, making people feel like they belong into a community rather than just being a customer.
So, I mean, we've seen Facebook change quite a bit over the last couple of years. Probably the level of organic reach has gone down quite significantly that you can achieve, and Facebook pushing people towards paid advertising, really. Do you think, or do you fear that the same might happen to Instagram or Pinterest at some point?
Yes, but, you know, I think that's a given, but when it happens, we'll just adapt to it. I think right now, I mean, there's really nothing you can do. Right. One thing about Facebook, if we can go back to that, is the groups we found to be really good with high engagement. So Facebook pages are not that great,
right?
Because you're only going to reach, you know, 200–300 people. I think we have like 13,000 likes, but we're only reaching a couple hundred people every time we post something. But on the group, when we post something, it goes out to pretty much everybody. So there's a much higher percentage of engagement in the Facebook group rather than on our Facebook page.
Okay, and how long have you had that going?
So the Facebook group has only been around for about a week or so, maybe a week and a half, 2 weeks.
Okay, that's interesting.
And there's, I mean, yeah, there's posts every day, and it's just a place for people to talk about shaving, which there's not very many places for them to do that. So yes, it's going really well for us, I'd say.
And what's the hottest topic at the moment?
Usually it's shave of the day. So people will post what they're shaving with today. So they'll post their pre-shave, their different you know, shaving soap, their aftershave, the blades that they're using. So it's pretty interesting because, you know, people actually get really interested in shaving.
You don't look as if you've had a very effective shave this morning yourself.
Yeah, no, I haven't. I kind of rushed out the door this morning.
or maybe even a couple of days ago.
That's true. That's probably accurate.
But I mean, it's great to see a regular business, if we can call you that, you know, being really effective online and embracing social media and doing it right. Do you think that one of not so many that are getting it right? And do you see the majority of businesses out there with great potential and just not doing it right at all?
Yes. So a lot of people, I think one of the biggest things is they don't try for a long enough period of time. You know, they'll try Instagram out for like 2 weeks and they'll say, well, I'm just not getting any traction. It doesn't work for me.
Hmm.
You know, you have to be persistent and consistent with what you're doing. And I think that's one of the definitely the key things, because you know it's the traction doesn't happen early on. It's very, very rare that ever happens. It's only with very particular products or services where that happens. But yeah, a lot of people, they don't put the effort. You know, they'll post like 3 times a week on Instagram and wondering why they're not getting that many followers.
Hmm.
You know, you should be posting like 2-3 times a day. You know, and you have to, when people make comments, this is what I see all the time. People will comment on your social media and the company doesn't comment back.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the whole point of social media. And I see that probably 90% of the time. You know, companies just aren't commenting. You have customers where they'll ask a question and the company doesn't reply. And then other people are seeing that and saying, well, the company's probably not that active or something. And they become disinterested. So yeah, definitely, I see that all the time in social media. And the
So
companies that are doing really well are always engaging. You know, when somebody asks a question or makes a comment, they're always replying. So, you know, it's either kind of all in or nothing.
and do you deal with reputation management as well? Do you have issues at all with any negative responses socially? And do you tend to deal with that socially, or do you, if necessary, do you try and take that off privately and deal with that over email?
So that's always an opportunity to showcase your customer service. So every time we have, you know, a customer where something went wrong, let's say their shipment didn't get there or something, it's always an opportunity. It's a marketing opportunity. So if you have really, really good customer service and you say, you know what, we just shipped out your box again, sorry for the issue, blah, 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 and you kind of exceed their expectations, not only are they going to refer you again, because it's like the customers who are usually the biggest pain, right? When you make it right, they're always going to be your biggest advocates.
Hmm.
And so always making it right. And when they do it on social media, you know, if you can repair it there, that's the best place. It's very, very rare where we have to hide something. And it's usually because the customer is just completely wrong. I think it's happened probably 2 or 3 times where they got the wrong company. And they were complaining about the wrong company. But yeah, I think it's a place where you can make things right and make yourself look really good.
And you publish a lot of written content on your own website as well, or do you just tend to focus on primarily on social media?
We don't do a lot of written content. The primary reason is we just don't have the time, because we're so focused on so many other things, and we do our shipping in-house. So yeah, we don't do any written content at the moment. It's pretty much just mostly what we found is just image-based social media. It gets the most engagement. You know, nobody has time to read.
I think a few
pages.
Yeah, a few years ago, most businesses that did digital marketing probably focused on as many different areas as possible and syndicated their content automatically to different places. But I think now what works best is focusing on one area that works well for you and doing a great job at it. And I think you demonstrate that.
Yeah, thank you. But I think, you know, when you're a small company, you really have to understand where your focus should go, because you only have so many resources. And if you can hone in on what's working and, you know, just nail that and just go after that, you're going to see the best returns from that.
So let's segue into the second section of our discussion. So that focuses more on your thoughts on where digital marketing's been and where it's heading. So starting off with
Software I couldn't live without.
So what software do you currently use in your business that if someone took away from you, it would significantly impact your marketing success?
That's a tough one. The best one we're using right now for Instagram is going to be Instagress, which is a program that, depending on what hashtags you input, it will go and it will like and or follow people who are using those hashtags. And that's the best tool that's one of the best tools we found. And that's what's getting us, 50 to 100 people every day. And it's doesn't cost much. It's like $10 a month. And I think we're getting the best return on that tool.
That's a great tip there. And a slightly more challenging question. What piece of software don't you use, but you've heard good things about and you've meant to try at some point in the near future?
There's a lot. There's quite a bit. I can't really pinpoint anything. One would be the email funnels we have not really utilized yet. So there's a whole bunch of pieces of software for that. We are going to be using Intercom specifically for that, though. So especially in our industry, like when a member cancels their subscription, there's multiple times we can go in and kind of get them to come back. And so that's something that we're definitely going to be looking into and utilizing.
Great. Okay, well, I'll include links to the couple of pieces of software that you did mention there in the show notes on digitalmarketingradio.com. But moving on to...
I wish I would have.
So I'd like you to look back on the very first day that you're involved in trying to market a business online. What didn't you do so well? What do you wish that you would have done differently?
So before, one thing that I never focused on was branding and design, which I think is one of the most important pieces of it. I mean, when a user visits your website, the design just has to make them say, wow. And the branding has to be consistent, and it has to look really good, and it has to serve whoever your demographic is. So for us, we understand it's mostly males. So we try to cater all of our branding and design around that and kind of have like manly themes. And when I first started, I never really focused on that. I never really understood what that was. When you said brand, I didn't really get what a brand was. So I say, understanding that and focusing on it early on, right from the get-go, is really what helped us grow. And it really brought us to where we're at today.
Okay, yeah, I mean, it's a lovely, easy website you've got there as well. Was that something that you completely redid yourself when you came in?
Yes. So we purchased the company, and the company originally had only about 45 members, and it did about $3,000 in the 6 months that it was in business. And after we rebranded it and did a little bit of marketing, we did $3,000 in about the first week. So it really goes to show how important branding is. And that's a design that we just got done on 99designs.com.
Ah, right. Okay. So you got them to do just the images of the site, and then you internally put the site together, or you got them to do the whole site?
Yeah. So basically, they just did the actual design itself, and then we had somebody code it. Actually, CrateJoy back then coded it for us. CrateJoy is our software that we're using for our subscription service, and they coded it for us. And so they took that PSD from the designer and made it into a website.
And it doesn't appear to be WordPress that you're using. You're not using WordPress, are you?
No, it's not WordPress. It's on CrateJoy. So they have their own hosting, and they have their own everything pretty much. The whole site is based inside of CrateJoy.
Okay. Great stuff. Okay, well, moving on to
the this or that round.
So this is the quick response round. 10 quick questions, just 2 rows here. Try not to think about the answer too much, and you're only allowed to say the word both on one occasion. So, ready to go?
Sure.
Email or Twitter?
Email.
Audio or video?
Video.
Affiliates or display advertising?
Display advertising.
Facebook or Google+?
Facebook.
Online press releases or one-on-one relations?
One-on-one relations.
Paid search or SEO?
SEO.
Email contact form or telephone number?
Email.
Website or app?
Website.
Social subscriber or email subscriber?
Email.
And local marketing or global marketing?
Local.
I think you might have broken a record there with the speed that you went through them. That was very impressive. I normally get at least one. Not so sure. But even social subscriber, email subscriber, you're very much email. So even though social was probably your main source of visitors, you recognize the power of getting that option, as it were.
Yes, email is still, I mean, it's always going to have the best converting. And, you know, when you send somebody an email, most people actually get a notification on their phone that you emailed them. I do. And, you know, when I get an email, I check my phone and I actually will look at the email, even if it's from a company. And that costs nothing. I mean, it's like less than a penny to send an email, right?
Yeah.
And it's just far better than, you know, checking Instagram, going through 20 posts, and then seeing your company's post. So yeah, email by far is the best.
What about SMS marketing? Have you tried that at all?
No, we have not.
Okay, no, I can just imagine your type of business. SMS alerts when new stock comes in or something like that could be effective.
Yeah, we're not grabbing their phone number.
Oh, right. Okay. Well, moving on to
the $10,000 question.
So if I was to give you $10,000 and you had to spend it over the next few days on a single thing to grow your business, what would you spend it on, and how would you measure success?
I would go. I would probably do a promotional ad on a very large blog, is what I would do, and I would try to get. You know, we spent, I think it was about $3,000 on a pretty big blog and website, and we got over 300 members from that.
Wow.
So I would definitely say wherever all your demographic is at, go after that biggest blog or whoever, because they also have a large email list. They'll have a large social media following, and just doing some type of paid promotion on them would definitely, I think, at least for us, would have the best ROI.
And what about call to action? Because at the moment on your homepage, you've just got click here to join the club. Is that something that has been tested to work most effectively for you, or would you try another call to action if you were actually paying for advertising?
So we did test it in the beginning, and I do like to always tell people what to do when they're on our website. So, you know, call to action is super important. So we just don't want to say, you know, check out the club, or, you know, or whatever. We want to tell them, click here and join the club. And so we're trying to be a little bit more direct, and we found that to work the best.
My number one takeaway.
Well, Kevin, you've offered a lot of great advice in our conversation, but what would you say is the number one takeaway that people can take away, the single most important thing that people can take away just to implement in their own businesses?
I would say being persistent. And so, you know, you cannot measure the success of something instantly. Like, especially when it comes to social media, it's over a long period of time, you know, 6 months to a year. And so being persistent is probably the biggest thing I would say helped us.
Being persistent. So don't just accept defeat when you've been on Instagram for 3 or 4 months and you've got 50 followers.
Yeah, I mean, you know, you don't want to be persistent doing the wrong thing. So, you know, that's also being persistent, but adapting when it's not working. So, you know, it's up to you to figure out what your users are looking for. And then also you have to be persistent and give them that content.
Okay, that's great. Well, that takes us to the end of our discussion today. So thanks so much for joining me. What's the best way for someone to get hold of you if they'd like to get in touch? So we have a Facebook group for people interested in business. It's facebook.com/groups/Groove Learning, GROOVE Learning. And then you can also email me, kevin@wetshaveclub.com. Lovely. Okay, well, I will add links to that, your Facebook group and your sites just at the bottom of, again, the post on Digital Marketing Radio. So thanks again for joining me.
Thanks a lot, David. Appreciate it.
Lovely. Okay, well, and thank you, dear listener. We'll see you next time on Bye for now. Thanks for joining us.